I'm not gonna ask what you're auditioning for.
Welcome, one and all, to the double progression trouble DM banning. I started recording right at that statement, and I think it's wonderful. Um,
Good, good.
so you'll notice that Sophie and I are not opening packs and we're not playing games. So you may wonder, what the fuck are we doing? What are we recording? Why are we chatting if not like to shout at one another about big bunguses? Well,
I was wondering that. Thank you for bringing it up.
yeah, it is very strange. That's mainly what we do on this channel, but here's the deal, viewers. Whenever you do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series, you inevitably run into an issue, especially in the GX era, but to a certain extent in every new era of cards, where there's a clear attempt by Konami to shift the gameplay up in some meaningful way, but older cards always just end up being powerful enough to, in one way or another, overshadow the packs that come afterwards. That happens to a certain extent with every new era, but it's exceptionally prevalent in the GX era. Whenever you do a progression series and don't actively ban a shitload of cards, you quickly find that a lot of the time when you open GX packs, none of the new cards are stronger than what has come before. None of them are stronger than just continuing to play DM cards. Now, whenever you're running a progression series, there are two ways that you can address this issue. Number one, you can just play it as it lies, just accept that that is somewhat reflective of how the TCG was for a little while. That is genuine reflection on how it was in history, and there is certainly, like, depending on the progression series, good reason to do that. Or you can do what Sophie and I are going to do, which is we're going to ban a shit load of cards. Just an
So many
absolutely
cards.
excessive, just an illegal number of cards. We're going to ban cards and lower the power level of the format to such an extent that we will be forced to play at least a number of cards from GX packs. At least, like, a double digit number. And if not, like, a particularly high double digit number, we will get into the double digits.
We're gonna make GX viable, damn it, even if we have to absolutely castrate the format to do it.
So here are the rules of engagement for today. There are not many, but, Sophie and I are required to leave this stream having banned at least 40 cards. That means each of us will individually ban 20 cards each. There are no limits today. No half measures in this instance. We are full banning every single card that gets added to this wonderful deck list that's in front of me. We are maxing out at 60 ban cards, which means the most that Sophie and I individually each can ban are 30. And we must each ban at least 10 cards that are in both of our card pools. So there will be there are some powerful cards I have that Sophie does not that will be getting banned. There are some powerful cards Sophie has that I do not that will be getting banned. This ritual that we are doing together is partially like we are going to individually come at one another's card pool, but it is in a larger way about all of the powerful cards, all of the cards in the format, all the ones that we have each have one of or a couple of, the ones that we each have three of. Everything is coming on down. I think that is everything. So with that being said, as the winner of our finale episode, Sophie, would you like the first crack at bans?
I would absolutely love to. Not gonna talk about this too much, we're gonna be banning so many cards. But I think the obvious first ban for me is Mystical Space Typhoon, which I
Oh,
have zero
baby.
of, and you have two of, and very much would not like you to.
Yeah, no, Mystical Space Typhoon was never making it out of this episode. And I am going to start my bannings with something that is in both of our collections, and this may be the card that was the reason I lost that finale episode, but I'm not bitter at all. In fact, I'm going to show how not bitter I am by shooting it multiple times in the face.
Huh?
That's right, baby, we are banning Trap Dust Shoot.
Ah, man. I'm just gonna miss so much getting to play Trap Dust Dude and just instantly win the game because I went first. Oh man, that's so sad. Yeah, fuck this card. Never want to see it again.
Oh, goodness gracious me. Yeah, fuck this card. What's next?
Going down my list, another card I pulled none of that I think you did? I don't know. I'm banning Book of Moon. That card's crazy.
Yo, you sure about this ban? I didn't pull Book of Moon.
Oh my god, you didn't pull Book of Moon?
I didn't
Wouldn't...
fucking. Do you really think I wouldn't have been playing Book of Moon from the fucking moment it came out if I had.
I don't know, maybe you never do it. Well, apparently neither of us has Book of Moon. Never mind, I'm not doing that.
All
In
right.
that case, real ban. Actual ban of a card I know you have 3 of, and I'm shocked it never came up at all. Gravekeeper's Spy is a common I pulled 1 of, which is insane.
Gravekeeper Spy never really came up because I was deep in on the recruiter package, and I kind of got deeper in the recruiter package whenever I realized that, like, you just always came off on the better end of skill drains. Like, whenever you activated skill drain, even though I had more copies of it in my deck, in my collection, I was just always on more effect monsters. Gravekeeper Spy loses to skill drain, but none of the recruiters do. So that's a great segue into my next ban, which is skill drain.
Could be anything.
Could be literally anything. Fuck this card.
Honestly, so happy to have it gone. That was next on my list if you didn't ban it, because I know it's won me a number of games, but god, I do not want to keep doing it.
It's fundamentally the least interesting form of Yu-Gi-Oh that you can play. Whenever you open a pack of cards and you look at an effect and you read it for the first time, you're like, "Oh, this is so strong. I can't wait to activate this." There are outs that, if somebody Book of Moon my powerful effect monster, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh. You did like a clever counterplay it. I'm disappointed, but I accept that. Skill drain, I just want to die."
Don't we all? I think I'm just gonna keep going down my list, more or less in order. It's my turn to ban a thing we both have a whole bunch of. And that is Sakuretsu Armor, which is just a better card than everything printed in GX until Light of Destruction.
Yeah, Sakuretsu Armor is really funny because throughout GX they printed so many cards that were just Sakuretsu Armor, but with more restrictions, and at the same time they were making it wasn't like Konami was pretending Sakuretsu Armor didn't exist either. Like, I swear to god, they released structure decks that just had Sakuretsu Armor at 2 or 3 copies at common, for like these $10 structure packs, and at the exact same time we're releasing cards that were like, if you control 1 light, dark, fire, earth, and water monster, target 1 attacking monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Like, it just unhinged amount of just unhinged is how I'm going to end that. We are going to go ahead and ban Nobleman of Crossout now. Fucking... Speaking of cards that are just worse versions of, do we get Shield Crush in the GX era, or are we past that? Nobleman of Crossout is just the strongest version of itself to be released for a very long time. The fact that it banishes monsters is just really frustrating. It's a very, it could have just been Shield Crush, and we could have just learned to live with that, but the fact that it just stops Yu-Gi-Oh from happening is not super fun.
Shield Crush, it seems, is only in side sets, so we're not gonna get it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's whatever. So we'll actually have to play through one another's Elemental Hero Clayman, it seems.
As long as we are on the subject of No Woman of Crossout. No Woman of Crossout obviously is one of the best outs for scary set monsters, which is nice to have. And in light of that being gone, I want to get rid of some of those scary sets, starting with Swarm of Scarabs. I am not letting us ever play a game of Pac-Man ever again. It is not happening.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Nobleman of Crossout 2 is, like, I talk shit about it, especially in, like, in kind of limited formats, but at the same time, you kind of needed Nobleman of Crossout at the time that it was released, right? Because you had to deal with Pac-Man cards. You had to deal with Gravekeeper Spy. You had to deal with Swarm of Scarabs. You had to deal with my next banned card, which is going to be Cyberjar.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was waiting to get to that one. Cyberjaw, really funny. One time only. When it's a staple for the entire series, it gets a bit old.
It's really funny too because I think the series has kind of changed my perspective on Cyberjar somewhat in that I used to think it was kind of an auto win. But there have been a number of examples, most recently in the finale, where I used Cyberjar in Game 2, but then created an incredibly complex game state that I then misread and ended up on the wrong side of. So Cyberjar is interesting in that it makes both your hand fucking crazy and your opponent's hand fucking crazy, and you just have to bounce fucking crazy off of one another for a couple of turns, and it doesn't necessarily work well in the favor of the person who activated the Cyberjar. But it still does way the fuck too much for way the fuck too little.
Cyberjaw make brain hurty. Ban so no need to think. Thank you.
Do you have another ban in mind?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish the job I started last turn. I'm gonna hit ban Swarm of Locusts as well.
Swarm of Locusts has actually been an incredible back row removal throughout the course of this season. Really, before I had those two MST, when I gave up all hope of hitting Sophie's back row, Swarm of Locusts really fucking stuck out for me, and I thank it for its service, and I am calling a person to take care of our locust problem. They're all dead now. So let's go ahead and kill the jars dead in the ground. Let's take out Morphing Jar number 2.
That is a good one.
Weird little card, and gonna be remarkably annoying if we leave it whenever we get to extra deck shenanigans. So let's just not deal with it.
I am gonna file right back at you, going back up to the top of my list here. One more card you own and I don't. Grand Mog the Rock Monarch is not the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it sure is the best one tribute you have access to right now.
I fucking love this card. Grand Mog the Rock Monarch literally did nothing wrong in our games. He did his absolute best and I failed him. And I thank him for his service.
He did his best, but when we're entering an era where a 2400 vanilla is a nearly unbeatable boss monster, I think this guy might be a little too much.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. And in that spirit, I'm actually gonna go ahead and ban Dark Ruler Hades.
Hey, he was the very next guy on my list.
So, you pulled the one Mobius, we each had the Jinzos, so we have kind of over this course of the series gone down the list of powerful tribute summon monsters. Dark Ruler Hades is specifically notable for countering my whole strategy. So, goodbye, fuck you.
Rest in peace, you won't be missed.
We'll get the synchro version of you in a couple episodes, it's fine.
And, I think next up, I have another powerful one-up I think needs to get out of here. After all of our hits over the course of the format, there is exactly one Chaos monster left, and that is one copy of Chaos Sorcerer. But nothing in GX beats one copy of Chaos Sorcerer, so let it be known that we are not the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. We are not going to be playing Chaos for 15 episodes.
Let's get down your list a little bit. I literally cannot deal with Lightning Vortex under any circumstances.
Yeah, card's so good, I'm pretty sure I forgot to put it in my deck one of the last couple episodes, but every time I have remembered to play it, it's pretty damn good, it turns out, having a board, right?
My whole strategy was like trying to counter the sheer number of powerful monster removal you had in your collection, which we may be returning to very shortly.
Indeed. So on the subject of removal, I I'm going to start hitting some stuff that I think gets much weaker when there is more removal. The issue being that GX prints very little good hard removal, and we're going to be banning a lot of the good removal cards right now. So it is time to start murdering recruiters. Masked Dragon is going to 0.
Alrighty. I think this is like every ban that we did before this point makes more sense than this one, right? Like, Masked Dragon really is only a card that gets banned if you are committing to banning an absolute shitload of cards. But yeah, it's a strong recruiter in that sort of situation, and it will just beat everything in GX. I'm not done with your removal yet. Ban Tribe Infecting.
Yep, I figured that guy was not lasting much longer. I don't think it's done literally anything, but
You
if it
got
ever
really
does, it will be crazy.
You got really unlucky with the Tribe Infectings and the Ring of Destructions, and I guess not as unlucky with Lightning Vortex. You just didn't play it the one game, but like, I dodged a couple of bullets in the last couple of episodes.
Alright, so we've been talking a lot about removal and things that die to removal, and I am going to keep up this train. We don't have much generic cards to say just on activation kill a guy left. Vigor is banned, I believe Smashing Ground is banned. And I'm gonna finish off the job here and ban Hammer Shot.
So I'm going to correct you really quick. Smashing Ground was not banned until this moment. My next one is Smashing Ground to just complete it.
Ah, well, rest in peace.
Yeah, two very powerful, just really a lot, does for very little what a lot of cards in GX make you pay a lot to do.
Yep. And we want to be playing that garbage. That is the goal.
Yes, because we're idiots.
Exactly. And continuing down the too efficient 1-for-1 route, but switching over to some trap cards, Trap Hole is a card, and I would not like it to be.
Yeah, and I guess I will make this quick and just take Bottomless while we're literally on the Trap Hole search page.
And now, we've gotten a lot of the most efficient removal, but there's still some mediocre stuff that, even in its mediocrity, is better than what GX has to offer. So my Geki Break is gonna be my next ban.
And I will go ahead and pair Phoenix Wing Windblast.
These two cards are just so damn versatile. They just do everything you want.
Yeah, the trade-off is that you have to discard a card, but unlike Trap Hole and Bottomless, it can also hit problematic back row. Both of them are crazy powerful compared to the GX lineup.
I think the last hard removal spell I think really needs to go is one that's not technically full-on removal, but is close enough. Compulsory Evacuation Device.
Yeah, I was thinking that this would come up before long. This is another one that, like, if we left it for the GX era, we would need to ban it before we got to the extra deck era, before we got to any sort of Synchro XEs, any sort of era where we're using our extra deck to any capacity. Sending stuff to the hand is not the strongest thing in the world until it is.
Yep, and even now, that tempo is pretty good.
That tempo does feel pretty good. So you took out one of my powerful recruiters, and now I'm going to take out one of yours. I didn't pull a single copy of Giant Rat, so this doesn't count as a double, but we're certainly banning it.
No, my rat. Yeah, that deserves it, honestly. Giant Rat's like the second best recruiter, probably. It has a ton of good targets, and
Oh
yeah, it
yeah.
had to be like that.
A lot of I think there are actually some decent targets in the like GX era. You can search Clayman with it.
Let's go! Wait, that's based actually. Wait, come on.
That would well, that's like the whole thing with recruiters is that it searches a 2K or more defender from your deck, and a 2K defense special summon is quite good in GX.
That is true. So we were talking, as we were banning all that removal, about how GX does have removal options, but they're really situational or force you to commit a lot. And I feel like if you are able to get a removal spell off that requires a lot of setup and commitment, you should be allowed to resolve it without having a super easy answer from your opponent. So I am going to ban my body as a shield.
Yeah, that makes a huge amount of sense. I was thinking about this one, and yeah, my body as a shield does make the most sense in a format where, like, you have stuff like Sakuretsu Armor, Nobleman of Crossout, Smashing Ground, Trap Hole, Bottomless Trap Hole, Hammer Shot. All of these, like, really powerful, easy ways to take care of stuff. And without that, it just means you can't touch my monsters, na 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 na. Alright, let's go ahead and take out Sangan.
Yep, didn't think that was making it because you don't have one. And on that same note, let's kill Witch while we're at it.
The strongest card in my collection. Goodbye, which I will miss you.
More like bitch of the whack forest, am I right?
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm gonna ban my very first extra deck card, Thousand Eyes Restrict. This is... I guess we should address briefly the elephant in the room aspect of the fact that you and I both have multiple copies of Metamorphosis and Magical Scientist, but we just haven't found anything super broken to do with those cards yet. One thing I don't want is you to have easy access to this card. It steals my monsters, it locks down the field, it is really powerful and very easy to summon, so goodbye Thousand Eyes Restrict.
Yeah, the card is kind of nuts. R.I.P. King. Let me see, what am I coming back at you with? I think, now that all the removal is gone, and the way to prevent your monsters from dying to back row and all of that, it's time to get back to killing recruiters. I have 0 Mystic Tomato, so I'm gonna kill him.
Alright. Mystic Tomato literally didn't do anything for me the entire season except search exactly which of the Black Forest. So this ban doesn't really like hurt necessarily, but like I'm sure that things would come up later on that would be very strong to do with it, so it's whatever.
Not
So
sad to see it gone.
I'm gonna go ahead and ban Pyramid Turtle on the subject of recruiters because you have 3 of them. I think I only have the 1, and you do have the Ryukokis, and that's a really strong play.
The Ryukoki I don't think I have ever gotten to summon. Such is the way of life.
Sometimes these things happen.
They really do. Realistically, this one sucks, but I'm gonna ban it anyway, just to, be sure. UFO Turtle, get him out of here.
UFO Turtle probably wasn't doing a whole lot without Masked Dragon exactly to create the recruiter loop that I liked. But he's still just a little guy who gives you a fire monster. He's very neat. I really like the aesthetic of multiple, turtle-related recruiters. It makes me happy.
It is very nice, but alas, he must die.
Um, I I have to. A lot of the GX era is just going to be big guy beats. So as silly as it seems, I am gonna start to go down a little bit of a line of big guys. Let's go ahead and ban Giant Orc.
Oh, giant orc. 2200. That number's just too big, you know?
It
What do you do
is.
about it?
It is just like at least 300 attack above what most cards can deal with.
Now, honestly, I think it does make sense, given how dumb GX gameplay is, that, like, we kind of just have to get rid of this stuff. I will follow along that same line and take out Zumbira the Dark.
Goodbye, lil baby. I love Zumbira the Dark. He kind of sucks, but he's also incredible. Zumbira the Dark actually was the most reliable beater in all of Chaos format. It doesn't have to switch itself to defense mode like Giant Orc, and I think it also was out before Giant Orc was. And it can take out any Gemini elf within the first 2 attacks, so
Pretty
it's
nuts.
a big guy.
It's a big guy.
So I am going to, along the same lines as my body as a shield. We're moving into an era where a lot of the removal is specific and difficult to pull off. So if I am in the scenario where I do get lucky enough to pull it off, I don't want you interrupting it with a 7 tools of the bandit.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one for sure.
Yeah. 7 tools is a great card. It beat me several times in this season.
Alright, so my next ban here might look a little sussy, given some of the stuff I've already banned, but I still firmly believe that nothing in GX beats normal summon Armed Dragon level 3 set 1 path, so I am going to ban Armed 3. That card's really good if you get it off, and I don't think anything in GX beats sometimes cheating out at 2400.
It's the thing about Arm 3 is that it's special summons during the standby phase, and there are no other downsides. There's no bullshit you need to do. You don't need to destroy. You don't need to you activate effect. You don't need to. It just needs to be alive in the standby phase, and that is all. And that is a generic enough effect that it will be all the specific and terrible effects of like GX era level monsters or like any other essentially any other level monster. Like what the fuck is its like counterpart? Yeah, that makes sense given how deep into the well we're going with our bands.
Yeah,
All right.
we have so many.
Are you ever gonna ban wave motion cannon?
I'm saving that one for last.
Okay, I'm
I'm
not.
waiting. Oh, I'm gonna be so dramatic about it. Oh,
Bitch, I am not here for the drama. Wave motion cannon is probably the strongest. I guess Witch of the Black Forest is the strongest card in the format. Wave motion cannon is like in the top 10. If you leave it on the field long enough, it wins the game. It also, if you have more damage that you have done before the wave motion cannon, it can just help you win the game anyway. And God knows we're not going to have the back row removal to deal with it the next couple of episodes.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure at least half of our episodes have ended in me modding about this card exactly. I was always banning it. There's only one copy, but that one copy decides so many games. This card cannot stay around. It just cannot.
Completely busted in slow formats, completely useless in normal formats. It is the worst of both worlds.
It really is. Let's see, starting to get kind of low down on the list of things I have to ban here, but don't worry, I still have more.
There's always more shit.
There's always more. I'm banning Threatening Roar. No
Okay.
particular reason. It's just a good card that still exists, and I don't want good cards to exist.
I am also getting pretty low down on my list. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and preempt some shit here and ban Rescue Cat.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I think Cat could maybe stick around through GX, but it definitely has to go before we get to Synchros. This card does nothing now, and one day will absolutely demolish the format.
It does nothing now and everything tomorrow.
Now, here's the question for you. Actually, no, there's one last card I have on board here, the things I definitely want to ban. And it's a card that I don't know if you own any copies of, but I own 2 of. And because you haven't done it yet, I think I will bite the bullet and shoot myself in the foot a bit here, because I absolutely cannot have 2 copies of Spirit Reaper in this format.
Interesting. Yeah, that was a thing you did to yourself. I completely forgot about Spirit Reaper and did not have a copy in my collection.
Yeah, no, even though it would benefit me, I cannot let that card survive.
It's
Like,
really
what
interesting.
outfit? Nothing.
Yeah, at this point, nothing else. I guess we were always pretty much playing enough. We were always playing enough removal that it didn't necessarily like have an easy way to come up. And I'll fucking say this much. God, I would have loved for you to play Spirit Reaper just so that my goddamn Air Knight Parshath wasn't fucking just wasting away in my collection, except for the times where it bricked my hand and lost me the game. Deeply
Bad
depressing.
lie.
Here's one card that I believe you have. I think you have one of, and like if you don't, you already threw me the bone. I'm gonna go ahead and ban Deslakuda.
Yeah, I think I have the one copy also. I was planning to leave him because we banned all the other Pac-Man stuff, but honestly, fuck it. While we're at it, fuck
Let's
this
just
guy.
let no half measures. Let's just murder them all.
Exactly. Like, listen, if you want to play Pac-Man with the one guy that bounces that comes out in the GX set, go right ahead, but that is all you get.
So that's actually our 40 cards that we were required to, and I'm sure both of us have gotten 10 cards that are in both of our collections by now. I wasn't really keeping track, but
Me neither.
I am down to keep going if you are.
I am absolutely not done. No, 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 no.
Alrighty. Let's see. These are arguably like 40 good cards, and I want to see how deep into the bottom of the barrel we can scrape.
Yeah, there are still things that exist that I don't think necessarily need to be banned, but I would like to be banned because either I think they make the format worse, or if they are actually playable in the stupidity that is GX, it's gonna be wave motion level annoying.
Gotcha.
And the first of those is a card that does not come up much in our series, but I think we've killed most cards that are better than it. Fairy Box.
Ooh, yeah. I actually did not have this one on my list. I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to do what has sometimes been like Fairy Box's sister card. They're like horrible, like incestual, like deeply racist sister, and that is Ordeal of a Traveler.
Yeah, that card's a little bit goofy, isn't it? A little bit for a funny little guy.
It is just I mean, like, a continuous trap card that is like your opponent can attack never, or your opponent can attack only 1/3 of the time, or your opponent can attack only if they get super lucky. Like, that's another thing that didn't always make waves in Constructed. Everybody was playing Jinzo, everybody had the requisite amount of removal to make it less of a problem. Not us, though!
Yeah, so kind of the one thing I was hoping to ban if I had the ban select over when we got to it is there are a bunch of monsters in the DM era that are some variation of when this is attacked or when this is flipped face up or whatever, remove a guy. And most of those weren't good enough in our format, and I think a lot of them will still be fine now. But I think a lot of things in GX have trouble dealing with stuff like that. A lot of GX is very combat focused. So to
Yeah.
start things off, I want to ban Legendary Jujitsu Master. I think that card is just going to be crazy in a lower power format.
Yeah, it's the fact that it even has like the 1800 attack stat line. It's really funny that this is essentially worse Wall of Illusion, but we don't have Wall of Illusion in our format, so this is pretty fucking strong. Along those same lines, I'm gonna go ahead and ban Night Ass.
Hey, that one was on my list too. There are a lot of flip monsters that kill a guy, but this one is the best of them by a large margin.
Yeah, if you, as we discovered in a recent tournament that Sophie played, where somebody got third place by assembling the Snipe Hunter Knight Assailant loop, that is a thing that exists, and that would not be good to deal with. That wouldn't be fun to deal with.
Speaking of things that aren't fun to deal with, we have killed a lot of floodgates in this format, and I've decided we are killing them all. Wall of Revealing Light is my next ban.
I cannot. I thoroughly do not believe in Wall of Revealing Light, except for exactly the last turn scenario. But I guess in a situation where like it's similar to the Fairy Box or Ordeal of a Traveler situation, it just is a trap card is a continuous trap card that says nobody attack na in a format where we won't really be having a lot of ways to deal with that.
Especially after we just banned 5 back row removal cards.
This is true. Ooh, you know what we should go ahead and fucking ban? I'm gonna ban Tsukiyomi.
That's a good. Somehow never came up. 0 times.
It's actually too bad, too, that I should have thought of Tsukuyomi as a side deck card against your beatdown strategy specifically, because if I established like a battle footballer level defender that couldn't be, taken care of, I could, like, one by one poke through all of your big guys with this.
Yeah, it ain't bad,
Yeah,
honestly. And
it
now it's
never.
dead.
Yeah, I guess we never really thought of it because the most broken thing that you could do with this card in Constructed was combine it with a flip effect monster to get infinite advantage, or specifically combine it with Thousand Eyes Restrict to always just steal your opponent's monsters every single turn and establish an essentially like unbreakable loop until you kill the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Which none of those strategies were super accessible to us, but it still is just a good card by itself.
Yep. Yep. Oh, right, yeah, it's my turn. Ooh, I know how things work. On the subject of floodgates, we're getting real down into the shit ones, but I don't want even those around. Vengeful Bog Spirit. No. No floodgates. Bad.
What is the text on this card? Oh, then I'll just go ahead and ban Stumbling, which is like this but slightly better.
Yup. Both very good cards. Both very gone.
What are you thinking next?
Another bullshit card that never came up, and I want to make sure never does. Kaiser Coliseum is so intensely frustrating. And I will not lose to, like, normal and 1900, activate Kaiser, pass.
Yeah, that is Kaiser Coliseum. I guess it's like a floodgate that requires skill to use, which is why I never bothered. But it is like a huge pain in the ass. So you know what I'm actually gonna ban? What is the swords monster level person that destroys defense position monsters?
Mystic Swordsman level 2.
Is gone. Really extremely funny that Mystic Swordsman level 2 is a much better card than level 4, or especially level 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a card that would take care of Clayman meta, and we can't deal with that.
We can't have that. Shout out for Mystic Swordsman level 2 having the utterly incomprehensible design decision of having an effect that destroys a monster via its card effect when it attacks it, but needing to destroy a monster by battle to level up. Actually the stupidest thing I've seen in my entire life.
The Mystic Swordsman level monsters are some of the like level 2 has a good enough effect by itself to generally just usurp this and be good enough anyways, but they have some of the most awful contradictory like ways that their effects work that I've ever seen in my life. I think my jaw dropped the first time I read Mystic Swordsman level 6 effect. It is a tribute summon monster that cannot be normal summoned but can be normal set. What the
Very
fuck?
goofy.
Absolutely unreal.
Oh, right. So this next one might be one of the sussier bands in my quest to prevent Starburn from ever having a hope of existing, but I'm just gonna keep getting rid of the burn cards just in case you find a way to stall. Dark Snake Syndrome. Get out of here.
Yeah, this is a very powerful individual card. It is not game winning by itself, but it is very definitively game tying, which is not a super fun thing to have to deal with, and it is game winning if you play it and you get ahead. Sophie, did self-destruct button come out yet? Do you have a few copies?
I have 3 copies of Self-Destruct Button, I'm happy to tell you.
I'm happy to tell you, no, you don't.
Ah, well, darn. How could this have happened?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Under any circumstances. I don't care how bad it is. The text of this card, is so evil. It's the principle of things. I have to shoot it in the stomach.
That is valid. Alright. So now that I've gotten most of my vendetta against Saul out of the way, I do have a couple other decent cards I want to hit. One of which you reminded me that you own earlier in this video, that being Air Knight Parshath. Arguably a
Yeah.
card that's not even good in GX, a format dominated by 1900 beaters. But given that that is the case, I do not want you having a card that punishes me for trying to do something more interesting.
God, I am very sad that this card was. You're probably right too. It was never good enough to break through the meta of our format, but it would be good enough to make an impact in the GX era. This is one of my favorite cards. I think Air Knight Parshath is a gender unto itself, but unfortunately, yeah, it didn't come up in this series.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I am uh as much as it is kind of betraying my autistic creed to ban a train, I am gonna go ahead and take out Dekoichi now.
Oh no, Decoy Key!
Very, very silly card. Probably not that good now that Chaos is gone, but hey, it draws you a card.
Round your card, that's crazy.
Absolutely broken.
I think, we killed a bunch of recruiters earlier, but there's still some we didn't. Right, like some of them can maybe stay, maybe,
I mean,
but
like, I'll tell you this. I'm not fucking touching Flying Kamakiri. If you could, that one's on me. You can have that one.
valid. I am, however, going to touch Shining Angel. I don't really have good targets for it. I don't know if there are good targets for it, but if there are, it's a good enough card that I'm wanting to just cut it off.
I am going to go ahead and touch Shining Angel. Sophie apparently 2022.
Oh yeah, you know I'm touching Shining Angel.
You know what funny band I'm going to do next? But
Yeah.
I think uh we talked specifically about all the removal in GX being really specific and difficult. And with that in mind, I don't know if I can fucking beat Tyrant Dragon.
Oh,
I
my
am
son.
sure. I have to imagine that every single trap card that removes a monster, even if it has no business targeting, is going to say target one monster. I'm sure. I think GX is the kind of era to print a Mirror Force that has a target one monster clause. So and the fact that
Yeah.
it attacks two monsters is actually quite busted. So yeah, Tyrant Dragon, I'll respect it. I'll ban it.
Yeah. R.I.P. King. I love this guy, but honestly, you're probably right.
Hmm.
An eye for an eye, a dragon for an air knight.
We
So we're
each
actually
have
getting to the end here.
Yeah, we each only have two bans left. This was super fun.
Right. No, this was. This actually does mean I need to make some decisions. Because there are about 3 cards that I want to ban. One that you have and I don't that hasn't come up yet, but will be terrifying if it ever does. One that has come up that I think might be a bit strong for this era. And one that has not come up at all yet, but I'm pretty sure will. And I really do not want it to. And of these 3, I think the best card is what I'm gonna hit first. I think Apprentice Magician.
Good hit.
Just
Yeah.
like having a way to consistently get to a flip destroy a guy seems too good, even if you can hard draw some of them sometimes.
Yeah. Apprentice Magician is quite strong, not least of which because it specifically summons the thing in defense mode. That is actually a thing it has on a lot of other recruiters, including recruiters that we've banned today, like Giant Rat and UFO Turtle, which summon the thing in attack mode, which isn't always ideal. Let's fucking go ahead and ban 4-star Ladybug of Doom.
Oh wow, that's a pull, but honestly, I respect it.
Yeah, talking about how down to the like how dumb the entirety of GX format is gonna get. What the fuck beats 4-star Ladybug of Doom?
That is a good question. And I think I have made my final decision about what my last ban is going to be, and it is going to be the card you own. It hasn't come up yet. Would be cool if it had. But if it ever does, similarly to Tyrant Dragon, I can do nothing about it. I do not think I can let you keep Dark Magician of Chaos.
Yep, yep. You really can't. It would be very suspicious if you did. I would
It
accept it,
was,
but it gets a spell card back. Um,
baby.
it's a
And
it's a good thing that you didn't forget to ban any of my other cards that gets a spell card back.
oh yeah, fucking I forgot you have Magician of Faith. Damn it.
If you want to get rid of one of your
Um,
bans, you can. We're not. None of this
oh
is really
shit.
set in stone.
Yeah, I probably should. Let me think for a minute. Wait, I'm actually really dumb. I completely forgot you own that card.
Uh,
Um,
by the way, I am just gonna go ahead and say, none of this has to be set in stone. I am going to scroll through your collection to make sure I'm sure there are big ones that I might have forgotten as well.
very valid. God, I feel like every card I banned, I want to be banned, but you know what? Fine, you can have UFO Turtle. Turtle's back. I'm treating him.
Thank you for the UFO turtle. That's very, very kind of you.
Thank you for the reminder. That would have been a big thing to miss.
Oh,
Yeah, and
super
also,
fucking funny.
I would like to say before you do your last ban, if you have something in mind, go ahead and do that. I will say, the last card I would ban if I had one extra is Royal Oppression. Which I know I have, I suspect you have, and is going to make the part of GX that finally gets interesting not interesting.
Hmm. All right, so here is what I'm thinking. I'm going to get a couple of last-minute cards that I think I really do need to get in on this ban list. Okay, so the three cards that I kind of missed are Messenger of Peace, Magic Cylinder, and as you mentioned, Royal Oppression. I think I actually care more about banning Messenger of Peace than Rescue Cats.
Let's go! GX Cat lives!
Rescue Cat lives. Okay, so I just do have one ban outright. So I am gonna go ahead and ban Royal Oppression, and then
Hmm. Listen, one of our bands was in the extra deck, so like I'd let you put Cylinder in there to get the main deck to 60. I'm not gonna tell anyone.
we established the rules, and we should commit to them. Um, you know what? You can fucking have Dekoichi. The train lives. Did you hear my last statement? I did not
I
hear
did,
you. Okay,
yeah,
okay. Was it just not very reactable?
yeah.
I thought the train lives would be a bigger applause line. Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I'm just not connected enough to the trains. I'm just not like I'm
And
not
then the other
training
thing
on.
I want to ask you about really quickly, do you want to leave me with Last Warrior from Another Planet and Metamorphosis?
Oh yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. If you manage to summon a 7 and draw Metamorphosis and do that in a situation where you can actually protect Last Warrior, you deserve to beat me.
Okay. That is good to hear. I will remind you of that statement in the future, but otherwise, I think we have it. I think this is a very good just 60 cards to add to the ban list right away.
I agree. I think that going into the GX era, these bands should make it so we actually get to play some of the silly bad cards that GX puts out. And, all you viewers can look forward to seeing us do that in the next video, I assume, right?
Um, Not quite yet, actually, because
What?
we do have a. Thank you for the reaction. It really helped make the transition work. We do have a little announcement now. So, Sophie didn't win a single fucking game of Yu-Gi-Oh for
Hey,
weeks.
hey, hey, hey. Come
And
on, come on.
then she won some games of Yu-Gi-Oh for weeks, and then she decided to win the one that actually mattered. So now we have ended the Duel Monsters era in a tie, and we have decided that we are going to do a tiebreaker in the format that we have just created in DM with all of these band cards. We are going to, with whatever remains of our collection, before we start opening GX packs, we're going to do one last match.
one final battle, one final duel to determine the real winner of DM because we were tied in points. And the difference between this one and all of our previous matches is that our decks are going to be absolute shit. And I'm very excited for it.
I'm so you mentioned this before stream, and I think you're kind of right that like it is just going to be a legendary ocean versus whatever I can concoct.
Yeah, that might be the best, right? We have Aero, we have all the one tributes, we even have Mother Grizzly, was not one of the recruiters that got hit.
Mother Grizzly did survive because you don't have Gora Turtle or Catapult Turtle.
Indeed. So, no, I'm excited to watch us play some absolutely terrible Yu-Gi-Oh! It'll be great.
Yeah, I'm very excited for us to play terrible Yu-Gi-Oh! In our next episode, and then I'm sure that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Will get better in quality after that point, right?
Oh, yeah. TX was a great time for the game, I think.
Thank you all for joining us today. Look for the next episode whenever we get around to recording it, and thank you so much for your continued support of the series. Here's to Duel Monsters final, but for real this time.
See you there.